Hello, parents and guardians of FASTrack. This is Gray Flora here with you again to do another video to try to update you all a little more about what the young people that you've entrusted us with are up to at the University of Mississippi. And as you all, most of you know by now, we try to have a guest each time I post a new video for you all. And today we are honored to have Dr. Noel Wilkin, Provost here at the University of Mississippi. Dr. Wilkin, thank you so much for making some time for us today.
Well, thank you. Appreciate it, Dr. Flora. Appreciate the opportunity to visit with you a little bit today.
Awesome. Well, as you all probably can imagine, as the Chief Academic Officer at the University of Mississippi, he's got a busy schedule, so I'm going to go ahead and get right into the questions. First, I was hoping that maybe you could explain a little bit about your role as provost at UM and how your office serves undergraduate students.
Yeah, great. Well, thank you. I appreciate that question. And it's really the heart of what we do as an academic institution, Research One academic institution. Education is a fundamental element of our mission. It is at the heart and core of what we do. We bring in some of the best faculty in the world, and we empower them to do research, cutting edge research in their fields. And then those are the same people who are in the classroom with students, helping them to appreciate the disciplines and the fields that they're studying. The provost is the chief academic officer. And so I see it as my role to try to help the deans, the chairs, the faculty develop and create, foster and facilitate the best academic programs that we could possibly offer. One of the things that I'm really proud of here at the university is not only the diversity of programs that we do offer, but the quality of those programs. We have a number that are among the top 10 in their fields and in their disciplines. And we also have programs that are geared towards helping students succeed within that environment. So it's not just about building great programs. It's about an incredible focus on fostering the success of students within those programs. And so from the chief academic officer's perspective, I think it's a little bit of both of those elements: finding great faculty, recruiting great students, bringing them together in challenging but yet cutting edge programs that'll help them have not just their first job, but an exciting and prosperous career. And I every day wake up amazed at that transformation that we're able to facilitate here on our campus and the opportunities we provide to students.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's super important. And one of the things I think that what we are trying to do, parents and guardians, with your young people, is helping them develop those competencies, those soft skills that translate into taking advantage of the resources that Provost Wilkin has just talked about. And it is, an exciting place to work and for your students to be, because there are a lot of dynamic programs going on that kind of sit in that intersection of practicality and academic knowledge. So thank you for that answer. I kind of want to go ahead and shift a little bit. So you have, I think, one of the big things we try to do in these videos is help give our parents and guardians advice, especially advice for navigating the University of Mississippi and college in general from the parent guardian perspective. For a lot of the folks that are going to be watching this, it's their eldest or first child that is at the university, and you kind of have a unique perspective, being that you obviously, as we've already discussed, are the provost at an R1 research institution, but you also are a parent to a recent college grad and a current college student. And so given those intersecting roles, what advice would you offer parents and guardians, especially of first-year students?
Yeah, so great question. And as you mentioned, I'm the proud parent of a son who graduated during the pandemic. So lived that experience along with all the other students who were experiencing that on our campus. And then have a current senior at another university and have experienced what that has been like at another university. And so it's given me a close view, not only of the impact of that and what we've had to deal with on students, but also on my own children and family and what that impact was. But to your point, the advice I would give for first year students in particular is do not hesitate to ask questions and engage. We are here to help students earn degrees and to help students succeed. And as a result of that, if they come in and engage with somebody or learn to approach someone in an appropriate way, it helps them to gain access to so much more information of how to navigate this institution. We don't make complex rules and progression rules because we just like things to be complicated. There are so many different dynamics that students have to navigate because of rules that are imposed on educational institutions due to the scholarships that we offer and afford students, but also because of the academic rules that are necessary to help ensure progression from one level of proficiency to another. And it can be very complicated. And so the best piece of advice is that they shouldn't hesitate to walk up to a faculty or staff member within those programs and ask questions. And if they have an interest or just want to get to understand a little bit more about the field, ask a faculty member what they do. It typically breaks the ice. It gets them excited about talking about what they do because they're so passionate about their research. And the next thing you know, it leads to a greater understanding of the field and the discipline and the opportunities that are available to students. So we are all here to help facilitate your success and the success of your students. And so please encourage them to reach out to someone and ask questions. That's why we're here, and people expect them to do that.
Absolutely. Yeah, I was smiling as you were talking about going up to professors and asking them what they do all day. That's one of the things that we try to instill in our students in FASTrack, especially in their EDHE 105 courses. And I think they get a lot of, your students are getting a lot of interface with not only their EDHE 105 instructors, but also, we partner very closely with the Department of Writing and Rhetoric. And that's just a group of really caring and passionate, dedicated group that really want to help their students be successful, but it can be intimidating to go up to some of these other professors in other disciplines and go to their office hours or talk to them or ask help, especially maybe after you didn't do well on a quiz or a test. But I would encourage you all there watching this to encourage your young person that, and again, this is why I was smiling earlier, we all to remember that professors are people, and these faculty are people, and administrators, and everybody gets a little, serotonin, is it serotonin? No, I can't remember the phrase I'm looking for. Everybody gets a little jolt when someone asks, what do you do all day? You take an interest in them. Professors are people, and they like people, everyone's flattered when you want to know what they do all day. And yeah, so as much as they can humanize professors, I think it's a great thing, a great practice to get in the habit of right now. And then also asking for help can also start with your FASTrack academic mentor. Mm-hmm. Again, for you parents and guardians, if there's any confusion about that, we can talk about that. You can always send me an email and we can talk through that. But thanks so much for that question. You did kind of bring up rules and regulations. And so I thought I would kind of go ahead and weave into the topic that maybe one day won't be part of every conversation everyone has, but for right now it still is. I want to talk about the pandemic and how COVID has challenged, we all know COVID has challenged the landscape of everything, but higher education is no exception. And it's impacted the traditional college experience for a lot of students and the traditional high school experience for many students. Can you just kind of give us an update on the latest protocols at the university and why they're important to maintaining a healthy campus community?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I'm going to start back in the very beginning where when the virus started spreading throughout the United States, it became quickly apparent we had no other understanding of how to keep it from spreading from person to person. We didn't have a vaccine to keep people safe. We didn't have other mechanisms. And so universities, because they are communities that are so closely knit and interacting with so many people, we all closed with the intent and sent students home and onto online learning with the intent of getting away from each other. I mean, it was the only way we knew at that point to how to prevent the spread from person to person. And this happened across the United States and across the world. But we didn't stop working. In fact, we started working more than we ever had before, trying to develop protocols, and as I call them, layers of protection. And I've often referred to the model that's talked about by a scientist named Reason, who describes it like stacking Swiss cheese. Each layer of protection is not perfect. Like a piece of Swiss cheese, it has some holes in it. It has some things that things might be able to get through. But if you stack another layer of Swiss cheese, the holes don't line up. And so that provides more protection. You offer another layer and then another layer. And the more layers you have, the more likely you're going to prevent the spread from person to person. So we developed these protocols, and then we started bringing people back to campus with the protocols in place. And then as the vaccines came online and people started to be able to get them and have them readily accessible and free, then that was the biggest piece of protection that we could have ever had. And so when that came online, became available and people started getting it, we were able to remove various layers that weren't necessary any longer to prevent the spread from person to person.
Less cheese.
That's right, less cheese.
Yeah, sure.
And so as a result of that, the current protocols are encouraging everybody to get vaccinated. And the more who do, the less likely we're going to have severe illness. We're going to have different variants that come about, and we're going to have less spread in the community. And then the next layer we have in place because of the number of cases in our county, and it's based on a CDC level of transmission for your area. While that is high or substantial, then we are asked by our Mississippi Department of Health to keep masks in place for people who are vaccinated and unvaccinated. The hope is that once we drop down to a lower level of transmission, then that gives us an opportunity to think about how we adjust the barrier that we have in place. And so these decisions are all based on facts and data. And also we are required to follow public health guidance. And so throughout the pandemic, we look to the CDC, the Mississippi Department of Health, health experts on our own campus, local health experts associated with the clinics. And that's how we've based a lot of our decisions and information upon their information.
Excellent. Well, thank you. And yeah, as we've talked about in previous videos, your children are literally steps away from a place that offers free vaccinations. The University Health Center, I can see it out my window right now. And we really encourage students and the rest of our campus community to do our best to get out of the protocols. And the best way to do that is to be vaccinated. So thank you for that. So one more question, if you don't mind, about kind of pandemic related. And I want to just close it here, but I'm just curiosity more than anything. I mean, I think we've seen a lot of examples in the past 18 months or so, not just in higher education, but really everywhere, of kind of necessity being the mother of invention in some ways. And because of COVID-19, we've had to pivot in a lot of different areas. So as we look back kind of on this unprecedented time in the University of Mississippi's history, obviously we're not, this is something that higher education as a whole has been dealing with. But I'm curious specifically for our institution, what innovations have you seen that have resulted from the pandemic that you feel like that you hope to continue, that you feel like were positive innovations that were brought on by the pandemic that maybe you hadn't thought of before?
Yeah, good question. Because you always want to take something away and learn. And
sure.
On our campus, we always say that we're lifelong learners, and the people on our campus are dedicated to staying fresh and learning not only what evolves in their field, but what's happening across the entire breadth of society. And so let me first say one of the things that we really learned is what's critically important within a community of scholars and an academic institution. And that is our ability to come together to learn, to discover, to create. And that learning and education is, you said it earlier, is really a caring profession. I mean, you talked about how faculty care for the success of students. And I believe, now I'm a little biased in that I was originally a pharmacist before going back to graduate school. But I truly believe that faculty do this because they care about knowledge. They care about the people who are seeking to gain it. And they are dedicated to trying to help people learn what they know. And so that is best done in community, in a place where people can come together and engage. And so one of the analogies I like to use is that fast food did not do away with the demand for fine dining. They'll both provide you with food, but they provide you with very different experiences. And the educational experience in community helps you to learn the soft skills. It helps you to gain the ability to work with others who are like you and not like you, because that's what you're going to be doing for your entire career. And so it really reinforced the importance of those things that we don't charge tuition for, but are critically important to the success of an individual for a career. So that was something we really learned, and it reinforced our commitment to not only be together as a community of scholars as we learn and discover and create, but also how we do that so that it maximizes the ability to transfer those soft skills as well. The other thing I would say is that technology, some of the innovations that we've learned around technology and the way we can connect and keep people connected when they have to be apart from the community, I think that's something that is critically important. And we haven't fully appreciated what that looks like in the non-COVID world because we've used it so much that I think many of us are tired of the engagements that take place, but on Zoom or through other technologies, because we crave that face-to-face interaction, that heart-to-heart, that mind-to-mind that we get on a college campus. However, I'll say that there will be a place for helping people to remain more connected than the phone can do for you. I mean, there were times where I'd be away from the office and I would call into a meeting, but you can't really get the full appreciation. One step above that is Zooming, like we're doing today, into a meeting. And I can see expressions and I can engage and I can get some level of connection with the individual. And then one level above that, which is what we strive for, is that face-to-face interaction. And so figuring out where the place is for Zoom and the ability to connect with video conference technology is still evolving. It's hard to go there when everybody's been doing it so much and are tired of it. Sure. We're ready for that next level. But we will get to that point where we figure out its proper place. And I think that's an innovation that we can really rely upon. And then I won't go into detail on this, but just other technologies that help us to reach people more effectively through communication, through engaging with the systems of our university. We're taking those all to the next level. And so that's other innovations that will help us to be more efficient as we go forward.
Excellent. Great. Well, thank you for answering all these questions. I really appreciate your time. And yeah, we just thank you for all you do in your leadership in your office and providing all the great, superintending all the great things that we try to make sure students in FASTrack take advantage of. So I really appreciate that. And on behalf of our whole team, I really appreciate the time. And I'm going to hang out on here for a little while longer and talk to some of these parents and guardians. But Provost Wilkin, thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
You bet. With Dr. Flora, I really appreciate the opportunity. And if I could address the parents and guardians for just a minute.
Oh, please. Yeah.
The
floor is yours.
Say, thank you so much for trusting our institution with your students. We really appreciate the vitality that they bring to our campus community, their desire to better themselves, seek a prosperous future, and transform in a lot of ways their abilities to be able to do that. I also need to say, you don't know what a gem you have in Dr. Flora. His care, his passion, his commitment to student success is unparalleled on our campus. And
checks in the mail, Provost Wilkin.
and I truly mean that he makes himself available to students at all hours of the day. And it's people like him who really transform the experience for students. So please get to know him, have your students get to know him. You truly are blessed and fortunate to have him leading this program with your students. Dr. Flora, thank you.
Thank you so much. Now
Okay.
I'm going to get over my blushing and try to hang out with him a little longer. So thank you.
Have a great day. Thanks
Yeah.
for talking with me.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye. All right. Well, that was Provost Wilkin, the Chief Academic Officer. That's, above only, he's the number 2 on campus. Chancellor Boyce would be the only more highly senior officer on our campus, and we're really lucky to have him. I wanted to address a few more things with you all on the video today that I think hopefully will be things that are translatable amongst many of you that are probably having similar questions. The first one is around coaching. We have had a lot of you all reach out either to me or through other various channels about wanting to set up coaching with academic coaching for your students. One of the things that we feel like you guys are getting when you entrust your young person to FASTrack is that we're wanting to give them personal one-to-one attention. It has absolutely been offered to them the opportunity to meet with their academic mentor anytime and to set up standing meetings. I have several standing meetings a week with students where we talk about academic performance and being organized and time management, things of that nature. Some of you have even looked for this academic coaching in different departments on campus, which is great. We all are working together. I don't typically like to speak on behalf of all my colleagues, but I do believe I can speak for everyone when I say we are employees of the University of Mississippi first, and then FASTrack section. We're wanting to do everything we can to make this place great for you and your students. And so when you reach out to other people on campus for these coaching opportunities, that's certainly wonderful, and we want to collaborate with everyone. But please know that if you're concerned about your students' academic performance, the first stop can be to talk with us, and we can set up a time for them to meet with their academic mentor if they have not already been doing so. And that can become a regular meeting. Again, a lot of the times, when we see maybe, that your student is struggling, the tendency would be to, oh, well, we need to try to do something about that. And that's a good tendency. We want to step into that with you all. But please know that we are making ourselves available to students, and in the deluge of information from all different areas and opportunities they're getting as first semester freshmen. And a lot of that can be super overwhelming, that maybe they're not taking full advantage of it, but it takes, maybe the 3 of us, me or one of my colleagues, and you all, and your student, 3 different parties coming together to really get on the same page for coaching. And we'd love to do that for all of your students. So if you ever have questions about that, or that's something you're really interested in for your child, please reach out to me. Again, my email and phone number are posted just about everywhere on this video in my emails that I'll send to you all. The other thing I wanted to address real quick is registration. So myself and Brandy Bradley have been commandeering the academic advising for every freshman student in FASTrack. And so what that means is we've met one-on-one with students and created a list of classes and some alternative classes that they could take for the second semester, their spring semester of this year. Now, it's a little different than when they registered for classes that they're in right now, that they registered for this summer. Back then, their registration window was completely open, and we were able to, in one sitting, pick the classes and reserve spots in those classes in almost every instance. what's been different is because we have so many students, and they're not coming in these orientation waves the way they were before. They're right. Everyone is already on campus. Miss Bradley and myself have started meeting with students about a month ago, giving them the opportunity via email and other channels, and also reaching out to them via their ADHD 105 courses to let them know, hey, please set up a meeting with us. Here's the link to do that, to get on our calendar. And the reason we have to do it that way is because we wouldn't have time to actually meet with students. We'd just be answering emails. Just logistically, it's much cleaner for everyone for them to pick out a time on our calendar and register for it. Students have we've been meeting with students for over a month, helping them plan their schedule in anticipation of them being able to register for classes when their window opens. Now, almost every student, I believe every student window is open about 4:30 p.m. today. And so if your student hasn't set up a meeting with their advisor yet, please reach out to me. We can set that up and facilitate it. They have been given, again, I don't want to use the word deluge twice in one video. That seems like bad luck or something, but they have been contacted repeatedly about setting up that meeting, and sometimes it doesn't work out, or they've maybe set up the meetings and haven't made it to them. That's all water under the bridge. All we care about is them getting their schedule. And so please make sure that your student has done their schedule, has met with their advisor. And if you have any questions about that, you can always reach out to me. I did want to show you a little bit, because sometimes maybe we show students this one-on-one when we meet with them, a little bit about what it looks like to register for classes, but I have a little demo up that I want to show real quick about what that looks like. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen right now. And here that is. So as you can see, I've got, this is under my account, but I have this kind of student demo account up. So your student should sign into My Ole Miss, and they go to student. Sorry, it's making me roll back in. They go to student, and then look for course registration, this little section right here. And then there's this plus sign with 10 apps. So your student was able to check when their registration window, when their window opens right here. As you can see in this demo, it's open now. Most of them are open by now, or will be open by 4:30 this afternoon. The student got when they met with either me or Miss Bradley for their advising appointment, they got a sheet that I don't have. Let's see if I have one I can pull up real quick for you all, just to kind of see what that looks like. They got it in an email. Yeah, sure, I'll show that real quick. The student, your student should have gotten a sheet that looked like this. Again, was filled in with their information and had courses on it, along with a few alternates and some notes down here. That's in their email somewhere if they've met with their professor, if they've met with either me or Miss Bradley. It came from us. Now let me go back to sharing my Ole Miss screen. So what a student needs to do to register, and again, we've gone over this with them in the meeting, is they need to have that sheet handy on another screen on their computer, and they go into these 10 apps under course registration and find My Course Favorites. And from there, they can select spring semester and then add to My Favorites. And they can go through and add every class on that sheet. Now, one of the things that students are responsible for this time that they weren't during orientation, their last semester was, they're responsible for picking out what times they want to have their classes and making sure they do not overlap. It will not the system will not let you schedule two classes that overlap with each other. It'll just kick it out and won't let it happen. But students are responsible this time for kind of navigating that. That's for a lot of reasons. Number one, it's just kind of logistics and time. You know, as Ms. Bradley and I have other responsibilities during the semester, as well as the other advisors on campus. And students will be responsible for doing that the rest of their academic career here. But the other One is that now that students have been in college and they've started to get a feel for what it looks like to be a college student, they started maybe realizing that 8 a.m. in high school and 8 a.m. in college mean two totally different things. Or they've just kind of gotten a rhythm of like, okay, this is when I like to go to class. This is when I'm most productive as far as studying and using downtime. And so we want them to be able to take advantage of that themselves. And so they sign up for their classes. So students can search for their classes and add them to their favorites in here. And now every time they add a class to their favorites, it will show up down here under this. And once they have all their classes added to their favorites, they have to be in favorites first. A student can go to start registration if their window is open, which again, all of them should be open by this afternoon, and hit start registration. And from there, obviously I have an unexpected error because mine's a demo account. And from there, that's when they actually go through the process of reserving classes for their schedule. Now, lastly, I do want to say, unfortunately, because freshmen are the, kind of the lowest in terms of seniority, they're almost never do second semester freshmen get their ideal perfect schedule. The good news is there's a lot of different options because there's still a lot of courses to take for students. So it can be frustrating. I still can remember being overwhelmed by this process when I was the age of your student. And I'm here to help. Ms. Bradley's here to help. The rest of our staff is. So please reach out to us with questions and we will do our best to respond, but we will figure something out. And again, it may not be your child's first choice for time. And there are classes that are priorities that we'll make sure they get in. But if there are other electives or other classes they were really hoping to take, but it just doesn't work out this semester, unfortunately, that's one of those soft skills of resiliency that we're trying to teach that we're trying to teach your students that I know you all have done a great job of teaching them for 18 years. Not that we're in loco parentis, if you will. We know that we're just trying to help out in any way we can. But please feel free to ask us questions, to reach out to my colleagues. You can always go to, and I'll show this real quick. Hopefully you can see this on the screen. You can always ask if you know who your student's advisor is, or you want to talk to anyone else in our staff. You can always go to here, FASTrack.edu, and then look at our staff. And then here are contact information, etc. Anyway, thank y'all so much again. I hope you enjoyed hearing from Provost Wilkin and his insight. I know I did. And good luck to your students as they are registering for the spring, and looking forward to finishing up the fall strong. And if you need anything, please let me know. I'm here for you, and know how much we appreciate you and how seriously we take caring for your student well while they're here at the University of Mississippi. So thank y'all so much. Have a good day.